in this video, we're going to talk about how we use Excel to display data. So we've already looked at the different types of data that we see when we're analysing data, and they can be broken into two categories. We've got categorical data and numerical data. Now, if we're dealing with categorical data, there's an appropriate way to represent those kind of, or that data, that information, and those charts are listed here. So you can see it's appropriate to display categorical data as dot plots, line plots, pictograms, bar charts, and pie charts. And I'm going to show you how to do a pie chart on Excel in a moment. Then the other type of data that we've come across is numerical data, and that could be discrete or it could be continuous. And the appropriate ways to display that information is, well, if we're dealing with discrete data, we've got usually histograms or stem and leaf plots. I'll talk about histograms in a bit more detail in a moment alongside frequency polygons. And then continuous data, there's only three real representations that we use: histograms and frequency polygons, and occasionally box plots. So let's start with some pie charts. I'm going to look at this data here. So we've got some information here. This is categorical, so it's appropriate to display on a pie chart, and I'm going to show you how to do that in Excel. So the first thing we need to do is type information in the table into Excel, and you use a cell for each piece of information. So this column here, column E, I've typed the categorical data itself, so baby, toddler, child, teenager. That's supposed to say not teenager, so obviously I'm just going to correct that now. And then over on the right is how often that occurs, so the frequency. Now, it's very simple in Excel. You can literally highlight the information. I'm just going to expand that screen up so that you can see what I can see. So I'm just going to move this up here. So on the menus at the top here, one of the tabs is Insert, and a whole range of plots, charts show up here. I want a pie chart because I'm dealing with categorical data. So when I click on that, I've got a few options, you know, fancy pie chart 3D, no need. And just so that you can see that, it's actually just popped up. I'm just going to see if it's going to, there we go, I'll just move it. There is the pie chart. Now you can see that it has given a key. So each colour represents some of these. Now you might find that there's too much similarities between these blues, and you can change those. If you click on any one of the segments, you can adjust the paint here. You can see I've got some paint, and it allows us to do that. So you can mess around with that, but that is how you show a pie chart. Now, if you want to edit a title, because all graphs should have a title, you click on the title, and then literally a cursor appears, and then you edit it. So a pie chart to show would be an appropriate thing to write. A pie chart to show, and then whatever the pie chart shows. All right, let's move on to some histograms now. So I've put here some notes really about histograms. So histograms are similar to bar charts, except the columns have no gaps between them. We can display discrete and continuous data onto a histogram. There's always a half interval gap at the start and at the end of a graph. And then frequency polygons, well, that's a line that shows the trend, excuse me, of the data. So it actually starts from the x-axis, i.e. that half interval gap before your bars on your histogram, and half an interval gap afterwards, and it joins the midpoints of the tops of all the bars on the histograms together in a straight line, and you can look at trends for that. Now I'm going to begin by doing a histogram of discrete data, and I really want you to take note of Excel. So here we go. I've got some discrete data. Now, there's no information about what that data shows, but I can copy this information from there because it's in the right format. You may have to type it out. And I'm just going to start a brand new page. Now, if I paste that table there, you can see I've got the information. So over here, I want you to be really mindful that Excel will only do what you ask it to do. So for example, if I go into Insert, you can see here there's actually histograms. However, if I click on that, I'm not going to get a sensible graph, or a graph that even remotely looks like what I'm expecting. Let me just show you. That just leaves me with two bars. It really doesn't make any sense to me. And that's because what that's doing is it's working on a density on the histogram, which we haven't looked at in year 9. So we're not going to use that. What we're going to do is we're actually going to go to bar chart or column charts on Excel. And you can pick any one of these. I'm going for this one here. Now, again, you will see that it displays some information that I don't want. So I'm actually just going to remove the frequency, all those yellow ones, from there. And now I've got the X there, which doesn't make any sense either. So I'm actually going to undo that and put the frequency back in because I removed the wrong thing, and get rid of the X columns. That's better. Now, that makes sense now. Let's just have a look. At 0, I've got 0, 1, I've got 4. Okay, so that doesn't make sense because at 1, it's not showing that. So I'll need to alter that axis. If I double click on there, hold on a second. And so what we can see there is it's, first of all, it's not resembling the correct axis what I want. So this is what you can do. You can click on the actual axis itself. So you have to make sure it's actually selected. And if you go up to the top, so I'm just going to go to, I need to double click it to for it to show, there we go. And it says you can select the data. Okay, so up here, I'm just going to click on select data. And what I want to do is I want to edit the data, and I'm going to ask the x-axis to go from 0 to 7. So I'm selecting the range that I want. Now, when I press OK, and OK again, you can see now that my axis models the correct. So let's just double check that. When x is 0, the frequency is 0. When x is 1, the frequency is 4. When x is 2, the frequency is 3. So we're almost there now. However, there's a gap between our bars. Now for this, we need to move over to the right-hand side over here. So I'm just actually going to see if I can move myself out of the picture. There we go. So I need to look over here. Now, I'm going to have to scroll down. If you click on here, onto the chart, you need to be clicked onto the actual bars now, because I'm going to reduce the width between the bars. When you click on the bars, you can see it's got gap width. Now I want that gap width to be 0. I'm going to move that down, and I now have a gap width of 0. And I have the appropriate histogram, which is what I want to show this discrete data. Now, over here, there's a plus sign. I can add a chart title, and some axes. Now, I don't know what this chart's showing. It didn't give me any information. I showed you on the pie chart how we can edit that. But on here, a similar thing. Now I've got the axes. I'm just going to label that frequency up the side. And then, of course, it's already called X on the oh no, it's not, sorry, I'm just call that X. So just edit that and call it X. Now, in my next video, I'm going to show you how to put a frequency polygon on some continuous data. So I'm going to show you a histogram again, but on some continuous data.